When I was a case manager, nearly every woman that I dealt with had depression, anxiety, looking at her past, and that was brought on from abuse and trauma and the homelessness that they suffered. And for me, I had found that creating with my hands, making something always made me feel better. And that was an outlet for me. So I started talking with some of the women in the program and just saying, what would you think about having a volunteer come in and do scrapbooking or something else? And my mind just one day landed on sewing. I was driving to work and I thought, what if we brought in a sewing volunteer? And I kid you not, that day, a woman called and she said, I have a sewing machine that I would like to donate. And if you'd be okay with it, I'd love to teach some of your ladies sewing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, God, here we go.
Welcome to the Intertwined Life podcast. I am your host, Jenny Zentz. I am a wife and a mom on a mission. I've got a passion to help women discover practical ways to apply the power of God's word to our everyday stuff. I truly believe that our walks with the Lord should be seamlessly intertwined with our everyday lives. It should affect every move we make and every breath we take. So come on, let's do life together. You've got this, because He's got you. Hey guys, this is Jenny. Welcome to the Intertwined Life podcast. I am so glad you're here. We are continuing in this powerful series featuring the life-transforming work of the not-for-profit organization New Life Mission in Brevard County, Florida. I hope you have checked out the first 2 episodes in this 5-part series. If not, when you finish this one, jump back over and catch those. You do not want to miss them. Today, we are talking with Miss Amy Lyon. Amy is formerly a caseworker at what was Brevard Rescue Mission and is now New Life Mission, and she is now a social enterprise director. And if you don't know what a social enterprise is, that's okay. Amy's going to talk us through it. But there is some incredible work going on at New Life Mission through a new social enterprise they have, which is called the Transformed Shop. And you're going to love hearing about all the things that are going on there, but also you're going to find inspiration from Amy's story of following the passions that the Lord planted in her heart, even when it was totally unclear how it would all come together. Amy's journey is a beautiful example of the truth that what God calls you to, He will equip you to do. So here is Miss Amy Lyon. All right. Welcome, Miss Amy Lyon, to the Intertwined Life podcast.
Yay. Thank you.
I'm so excited to have Amy on here. Amy is so contagious, her passion and her drive and her love and her energy for what she does. I'm just really excited to introduce Amy to anybody who's listening. And Amy is the social enterprise director for something we're going to talk about later. And I'm very excited to introduce that to everybody too. But we're in the middle of a powerful series featuring the work of New Life Mission, a nonprofit in my own backyard of Brevard County, Florida. And it's impacting lives by breaking the cycle of homelessness for moms with children through their Total Life Transformation program. And it takes these families from total dependency to self-sufficiency. So Amy, I am so excited to have you here to talk about your side of the work that's being done there.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as we get in here? Just who is Amy, your passions, your hobbies, just a little personal stuff so we can get to know you.
All right. Well, I usually start with the fun fact that I'm a Minnesota native.
Awesome.
And I have lived in Florida for 6 years. And I have a 12-year-old son. And I just have always had a passion for creating and upcycling, finding the trash on the side of the road and what can I do with that that can't go to the landfill. I've always loved writing, and I have a background in journalism and have published 4 books.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
1 memoir and 3 inspirational romance novels.
Oh my gosh.
That's a whole different side of Amy. I've got many sides.
I love that. Oh, that's so awesome. So are those things, all those books available on Amazon today? Like, can I link to those in the show notes?
You can.
Oh, that's exciting. I did not even know this. Okay, this is great. All right, keep on going. So Amy, how did you find New Life Mission, which as we keep reminding everyone throughout the series, it's formerly Brevard Rescue Mission. A lot of people, especially locals listening, will probably know it under that name, but it is now New Life Mission. It changed its name about a year ago. How did you find them?
Well, when I first moved here, I was doing freelance writing for Hometown News, and I wrote the article about Brevard Rescue Mission, now New Life Mission,
Oh,
purchasing the Joy's Place property, what is now the Joy's Place property. That's an apartment complex that houses 5 families.
nice.
So I learned about New Life Mission when I lived in Minnesota. I had helped with a homeless shelter there, and
Oh,
just have really had a passion for helping women who've had abuse and trauma. And so I spoke with the director of development then, and she said, "Oh yeah, we're hiring a case manager." And I was like, "Oh, I've never done this, but I know I can." And
wow.
God just laid on my heart, apply for this job. And then Satan promptly jumped in and
Hmm.
said, "Oh, do you know you don't have the skills, the qualifications, any of these things?" But I interviewed and it was amazing and I got the job. So that's how I became a case manager.
Wow. That's wow, you just like knew. And we've been talking through this whole series about how that when we just follow that tug of the Lord on our hearts, he will often lead us down a path that we really didn't see coming, but then our life has so much more opportunity for impact, more than we could have ever imagined if we tried to plan it all ourselves, right?
Exactly.
Oh, that's so awesome, Amy. So, can you, before we jump into what you're doing now, which I'm really excited to talk about, can you kind of give us the perspective of a caseworker? So, if hopefully people have listened to the series so far leading up to now, so they have a little bit better idea of what we're really talking about. If not, everybody go back and listen to those. But New Life Mission is exist for homeless women with children in Brevard County, and they're able to come in and do an entire life transformation program. It's not just a meal and a bed for a day. It is literally breaking generational cycles of homelessness. So each woman that comes in is assigned a caseworker. And if we've talked about in the past episodes that not just anyone can come in and jump into the program, they really have to interview for the program, make some very intense commitments on how they're going to allow people to really have oversight in their lives. And it takes a lot of humility and strength on the women's part to do that. But can you talk to us a little bit about what a caseworker really does?
Yeah, like you said, there's definitely an intake process. So the first step is that someone will apply for the program either by calling or using our online application. And the case managers review that, make sure they fit the criteria for our program, single woman with children. And then as a case manager, we do that intake process, phone interview, and then meeting with them in person to make sure that they're at a point where they're ready to make that change in their lives. They've hit rock bottom and they're ready to do what it takes to move from dependency to self-sufficiency. So the case manager really works with them to learn their goals, if they even have them yet,
Yeah.
but to encourage them to realize that there are opportunities and really to give hope.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's accountability, definitely. They're accountable for their actions. And then we talk about furthering their education, maybe getting them a certificate that will allow them to earn a wage that they can sustain their family. And then they're getting life skills, parenting classes. They're learning how to do a budget. Many people have never learned how to complete a monthly budget.
Yeah.
Um, and then Bible studies is a big piece of it. And so it's really all encompassing. We're looking at the entire person, not just one area, not just get a job, any job. It's,
Yes.
um, going into work that eventually they won't be on any government assistance.
Hmm. It's about getting a life plan, right? Like a path forward that they can continue pursuing and not just fixing it for the moment, but setting them
Right.
up for the future. And oh, that's awesome. Now, let's see. And you guys actually, as the caseworkers, when you're doing that intake, I mean, you really have to, I would assume you're going to have to do a lot of prayer because you're going to have to really determine, is this the right person for the program? Are they actually ready to make the change? Because I think, isn't that really a key? Like they have to be at the point where they are ready to seriously commit to a change, right?
Yeah, one of the things I always tell the prospective candidates is that, we're seeing if they're right for the program, but also seeing if the program is right for them.
Yeah.
If they're at a place in their life where they can be open to direction and mentorship. So they have to be definitely ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I want to say that's heavy, you know,
It is
because
heavy.
it's an awesome job. And I think that's also why the component of New Life Mission being Christ-centered is so powerful, because man, to bring those women in and like we talk about, introduce them to the one who can truly transform them from the inside out, because we can fix other things momentarily, but if there's not a heart fix, right? If there's not a coming to Christ and realizing they can be made new from the very inside out, and that's going to put them on the path for the purpose that they were truly created for. And for you guys to have to, be led by the Spirit to pull in the people that God's leading to you at the time is such a powerful job for the caseworkers to have on their plate, So I'm so glad to hear. I know that you guys are really led by the Spirit in that, and that is the central focus of everything that's done at the New Life Mission. And it adds that extra layer of accountability for you guys, but of assurance for those of us who do want to give our time or our money, our resources, to know that where your ultimate guidance is coming from is such a powerful thing, I think, for those who are involved. Can you tell us what's maybe the best part of the work of a caseworker and what's the hardest part?
Well, for me as a case manager, the best part for me was that I knew I was doing God's work.
Yeah.
And that the decisions I made, there wasn't the pressure on me to make decisions from my knowledge. He was always there to guide me. So the fact that I didn't have a social work degree and I didn't have all of the certificates that maybe some other people do, I was able to just set that aside and say, at the end of the day, if I'm taking guidance from God, then I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I saw it in the women I was helping, and I felt fulfilled in my job. And I tell my 12-year-old son, my hope for him someday is that he can have a job like mommy has, where you don't feel like you're going to work.
Yeah.
You feel like you're just helping people and you're where God wants you to be. Now, then the flip side of that is there's a hard part of it. And again, it's where God comes in, because we have to release students who don't feel the program is right for them or not following the rules, and to be able to pray for them and say, I did all I can do. And maybe their journey wasn't our journey for them. Maybe their whole purpose was not to graduate our program, but to be here for a season.
Sure.
During that time, God planted the seeds that needed to be planted.
Absolutely.
And so it takes a burden off of me to be able to say, what, God, this is yours. I mean, I know it always was, but here you go. Take it off me.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh. And I know, so when Amy and I met, I was teaching a Bible study, a weekly Bible study. They have people come in, the students are required to do Bible study once a week, and it kind of alternates who volunteers or who's been asked to come in and lead the Bible study. And so I was doing that. And I guess it was probably the first night I was leading a Bible study that I met Amy. And I really didn't realize that you hadn't been at Brevard Rescue Mission, was Brevard Rescue Mission, now New Life Mission, that long at the time. We probably got there close to the same time, but we actually met. Say that again.
I was a newbie.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize that, because it was so obvious you were in your sweet spot and in your zone. I mean,
Thank you.
Like I said, your passion and your compassion are contagious, and it's just beautiful. And I felt like I met a kindred spirit, but actually I guess we met when I was designing that room before I did a Bible study. Long story. Yeah. I spent hours covered in paint and a hat. And then I came in weeks later as the Bible study teacher. And I think the girls were like, we thought you just worked here as the maintenance person. It was so funny. But I loved meeting Amy because her passion and her excitement for what she was doing was so clear. And it was so obvious that, and again, I had no idea
Honestly, we've known each other for a couple years now, and until I was looking at your bio, I did not realize that you had just gotten there about the same time I had. I thought you'd been there for years. You looked like you were running the show and you had it. But what I always admired was you had such a perfect balance of compassion for these women, and you were so relatable. Like you weren't, the stern school mom they were afraid to come talk to. Like they loved talking to you, but you also knew how to give that tough love when it was needed. And that's where it was so hard for me, because there were times where you have to be tough in order to, like even the scripture says, God disciplines those he loves. And there were times when the correction and the course correction was needed, and you were still able to find that balance. I think that's what made you such a great case manager.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So I want to get into the next part. Is there anything else you want to say on that front?
No, we're just always looking for good case managers as we expand and grow, and people who have that passion for helping women.
Yeah. And you're a perfect example that if someone's listening, they're like, well, I've never done that before. I'm not credentialed. I didn't go to school for that. Apparently it is, let's see, God can handle all that, right?
Oh, he got it.
Yeah, if he calls you, he equips you, right? So definitely, if there are people listening who are in the Brevard County area, and that is something that is kind of pulling at your heart right now, at least make a phone call, send an email. All of that stuff will be in the show notes, and might as well just follow that trail and see where it leads, because you never know. And so as Amy's going to share, it led into an even more creative adventure, I think, than she ever saw coming at the beginning. And I remember the night that I was doing a Bible study, and this was probably a year or so later, and Amy's like, I've got to tell you about this idea I have. So Amy, I want you to share what you are doing now. You are the director of a social enterprise. First, what's a social enterprise?
So it can be, I don't know if it's always nonprofit, but the idea is that you're solving a social problem.
Okay.
And like with us, eventually the proceeds will go back into a nonprofit, New Life Mission. And then, Transform Shop is nonprofit under the umbrella of New Life Mission. But really, looking at a problem, trying to solve it.
Okay. So what was this great idea you had? And tell us all about it. Everything you want to tell us, because it's very exciting.
Well, when I was a case manager, nearly every woman that I dealt with had depression, anxiety, looking at her past, and that was brought on from abuse and trauma and the homelessness that they suffered. And for me, I had found that creating with my hands, making something, always made me feel better. And that was an outlet for me. And so I started talking with some of the women in the program and just saying, what would you think about having a volunteer come in and do scrapbooking or something else? And my mind just one day landed on sewing. I was driving to work and I thought, what if we brought in a sewing volunteer? And I kid you not, that day, a woman called and she said, I have a sewing machine that I would like to donate. And if you'd be okay with it, I'd love to teach some of your ladies sewing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, God, here we go. So she came in and I knew that day, it was that week, I knew that it was going to grow into something because I saw how engaged our students became with her, learning how to cut, using a sewing machine for the first time. And so I probably saw you and I was like, I have this idea because I felt like if I God planted it in me. And if I could verbalize it and other people could kind of water it.
Yeah.
And then we could see it start to grow. So it took about a year and I brought that idea to our founder, Stacia.
Mm-hmm.
She was over the moon. She said, I've always wanted to do a social enterprise, write all this stuff down, make a business plan, do this, do that, do that. And I was like, all right, I'll start writing. And really it was so God-driven that, as I had ideas, I would present them and then a volunteer would appear. And so with our new property on US 1, there was a building and Stacia said, this will be your building to start the sewing center. And I had said, well, I think I already have a name, Transform Shop. And I have this image of a butterfly. And that was when we still had the lighthouse logo.
Mm-hmm.
And that the women are transforming. And so, I mean, a year later, You know, we started up February of last year, having some of the students come into the space on US 1, and then COVID promptly shut us down. And we
Yeah.
thought, great. But then we rallied and we said, you know, let's make face masks. And so the women were cutting fabric from their home, and those who knew how to sew were following patterns. And we made more than 500 face masks
Wow.
to donate to healthcare providers and schools and other nonprofits.
Wow. That's on top of all the ones you were
Information.
selling.
What was that?
And that's on top of all the ones you were selling.
Well, we donated before we started selling. So we donated the 500.
Okay.
And then in June of 2020, we launched our website.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, now we're going to start selling the items we make. We had volunteers start coming into the shop. We got on a regular schedule. And then slowly we've added items.
And it's so cute. Yeah, Amy and I right now are both wearing denim fringe earrings that were made in the shop. And I will say these are so special to me because one of the ladies, the lady who made these earrings, her hands touched this, she cut it, she made these earrings, and she became a student one night when I was teaching a Bible study, probably about the same time that Amy had this idea. And it was her first day there. And I got to be there when she first got there, and I led her through a Bible study. I prayed with her. And then a year later, I see her start to blossom through this idea that God gave you. And then she made these earrings, and she's the scrunchie queen, right?
Yes.
So awesome.
And those earrings, the earrings don't require sewing. And so that's one of the first projects we start with when the women come into the program, because the one thing we don't want for them is to feel any sense of failure.
Sure.
There. So they come in and they're able to create something fairly simple that gives them a sense of purpose and a sense of completion.
Mm.
And for her, if I can tell her quick story, she hadn't spoken to her mom in 2 years as part of, you know, her homelessness and reunification with her son. And she made a pair of earrings and sent a picture to her mom. Her mom messaged back and said, "It's really great what you're doing. I'm so proud of you." And she shared the message with me, and she got teary, and she said, "You know, my mom has never told me she was proud of me."
Oh.
And that really opened up a conversation, and I saw healing start to happen.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's been so powerful. And there's still so much to say about this. So it's called the Transformed Shop. Transformed or Transform?
Transformed ED.
Okay, Transformed Shop. And you guys you make a lot of great stuff. And you started with denim, right?
Yep.
But now you use other materials as well. And it's mostly all used clothing that's been donated. Is that correct?
So all of the denim is donated. The fabric is donated. The denim is our core, at the core of pretty much every product.
Okay.
So we choose to use denim because it's rugged and it's tough, and it's like the journeys of our moms.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
It's also difficult to sew with. So if you can learn to sew with denim, you can learn to sew with anything.
Oh, that's nice. It's always good to start out sometimes with the harder one. And then there's a lot of a whole sermon in that too, I think. And you talked about where you've seen the trauma of homelessness being healed through. And I think you've got even some great statistics, things you've learned about the actual healing in our brains from trauma when we create, correct?
Yes, definitely. When a woman is homeless, she's in survival mode. And when she comes into the program, it's often hard for them to relax and to take a breath and to trust that they don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep, or, you know, where their kids are going to sleep, or the essentials anymore. Yeah. And the National Domestic Violence site had a really good article called Healing Through the Arts that I found. And in that, they talk about how traumatic memories are stored in the right back region of the brain, and how art expression activates the right brain because it incorporates your senses through tactile, through touch, auditory, visual. And so that taps into those traumatic memories and it opens something up, and it's very scientific.
Yeah.
It lowers cortisol stress hormone levels by 75%
Wow.
in 40 minutes.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's like science behind the fact that spending time doing these activities actually is really healing. And I'll read you one of the quotes from the article. It says that any repetitive action like sewing, gardening, yoga, or drawing releases dopamine, a chemical in our brains that is related to the brain's reward and pleasure centers. Engaging in creative pursuits regularly can help train your brain to produce more of these feel-good chemicals that can improve your mood over time.
Beautiful.
So it's therapy, I'm telling you, and we've seen it firsthand.
It just makes me kind of, I don't know, just had this thought. Yeah, no wonder God originally put man in the garden, right?
There you go.
That was always the intention. I mean, there's nothing by accident. And I think I love that you've found that and then you've employed that. Now, were you a sewer? Is that something that was in your?
My mom my mom was very like 70s hippie, creative, made her own clothes. And so I would use the sewing machine, and I always say I know enough to be dangerous, enough to come up with these ideas. And then I kind of rely on our volunteers to sort of perfect them. But, I've learned, and I know that it's possible to teach someone with no experience.
Absolutely. And I just love, again, this is another example of just God tugging on your heart about an idea and you just being willing. So many times we can't live by emotion. We can't live by feeling. We'd be all over the place, but we can't discount that God uses that to spark things in us. And if we're just open to that, scripture tells us he gives us the desires of our heart. It doesn't mean he's just going to give us whatever we want, but if we seek him, he will cause our desires to line up with what he wants for us. And this is just a great example I call this podcast the Intertwined Life Podcast, right? And that's what it is. Just your everyday life seamlessly intertwined with your walk with the Lord. And we can't discount those little things. Something that brings you joy or makes you happy, or this neat idea you get. If you just, okay, God, if you want to do something with this, I'm open. He fills that space and he supplies you with what you need, whether it's the material or the people or the knowledge. And I love that. And you've walked that out so beautifully, and all the proceeds. So you guys you have an actual shop, you have a physical shop and an online shop. Is that true?
Yes. So our shop on US 1 is open during the day when we're there, and it's typically 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then we post on our Facebook and Instagram sites when we're open on Saturdays, because we do have some Saturdays for shopping. And then our website, transformshop.com, and we're always adding items there.
So people can order from anywhere and have it shipped to them?
Yep, absolutely. And
awesome.
We have over $50.
Say that again.
Free shipping for orders over $50.
Awesome. And it's not hard to do because there's so many great things, and they're not even necessarily that expensive per item, but there's so many cute items. Tell me some of your top sellers.
So probably our top seller right now, we have these cute denim wristlet keychains.
Yes, I have one.
that have a little butterfly, our little butterfly logo on them. It's a pin. And if you look at that logo, people miss it all the time. In the center of it is a woman with her arms outstretched. So you see the butterfly, but look just a little bit deeper and there's the woman. And we just expanded our home collection, which features patchwork placemats and table runners. And then we also have the denim coasters. So that's all selling really well.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. And they're such, I mean, the mask obviously timely and needed, unfortunately. And so that actually worked out really well. The Lord used that, and you got lemons, you got denim, you made, you made your mask. It's also cute. I actually lead a Bible study for young girls and their moms, and I gave all the girls a scrunchie made at the Transform shop for Christmas this year. And it was so great because there were so many different colors and patterns. And then I got to tell them, a woman who touched this, used to be homeless. And now she's going through this process and she has kids your age, and it was just really powerful to get to share that. But then also we can go volunteer. We can do a project as a group together. And so people who are listening, who are not local, this is for you too, because you can hop on the website. I'm going to have everything linked up, all the social media handles, all the direct links to the shop and to, I almost said Brevard Rescue Mission, to New Life Mission, so that if you are local and you want to volunteer or you want to go in and shop, great. But if you're not local and you really are feeling a tug towards this ministry, you can find a way to get involved. You can sync up with Amy. You can sync up with some of the others we've talked to. You can find ways to give of your resources, whatever they are. And if you can give financially, such a huge blessing, because takes a lot to keep this going. Everything that New Life Mission is doing doesn't come cheap. And as we've talked about before, it is 100% donor sponsored, because they don't want their moms taking help from the government to sustain themselves. They want them to be self-sufficient. So New Life Mission takes that very seriously. And they also do not receive any help from the government. And in doing so, they have more control to be completely led by the Spirit in what they do. And so there's a lot of power in that. Let's see, Miss Amy. I'm going to have images in the show notes too, so people can go there and find that so that you can see some of these beautiful items and the logo, which is absolutely gorgeous. Everybody can shop from anywhere. We've said that online, in person. You do ship. How about gift certificates? Do you guys have gift cards, gift certificates?
Yeah, we do. Online, you can get a gift card. So that's available. You can have it sent to someone and they can shop online.
Okay, so like Mother's Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this episode's going to be airing in March. So my birthday is in March. If anybody wants to send me anything, I'll take stuff from there. All right, that's awesome. And do you take special orders?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
We do. And we're this summer we're going to be starting this is just a little secret I'll put out there. We're going to be starting a legacy memorial program.
Oh, wow.
We have done some special orders for people. For example, a woman brought in her husband's jeans. He had passed away, and his flannel shirts. And so we made coasters for her and her daughters. So we really want to launch that as just another way that, rather than having the items sit in a box.
Yeah.
You're not only remembering that person, but also helping our moms.
Wow. Oh, okay. Tissues. I can never do anything with you guys without tearing up. Oh man, that is awesome. Amy, thank you so much. Is there anything that we have not touched on that you think we definitely need to bring up?
I don't think so.
There's a lot of stuff. It's good.
Yeah, a lot of stuff on our website and just so much more coming.
Awesome. Oh, Amy, thank you for coming today. So I always ask everybody, do you have a life verse or a verse that's really bringing you life right now?
I probably, one of the verses that I just get a lot of strength from is the armor of God in Ephesians. And just, I armor up every day because there are forces of evil that want to stop us at New Life Mission because we're doing a lot of good. Mm-hmm. So I need God's power because I don't have it myself. I don't have the knowledge to help these women on my own. And for them to make a change, they need it as well.
Yeah. That's so good. And it's funny, you're not the first one in these interviews to mention that scripture. So it is definitely, you guys know at New Life Mission that you are on a battlefield. There's Absolutely. A war going on, and you are literally leading the charge, with the help of the Lord, fighting for the souls of these families and the generations of these children. And
We
Satan
are warriors.
Yeah, you're warriors. And Satan doesn't want this work to go forth. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it, girl. You guys are on fire over there. I'm so excited to share this, and I can't wait to see people get even more involved. And we've mentioned before, Community Care and Share event is coming up, our biggest annual fundraiser. All the links are going to be there in the show notes for that as well. But wherever you are, you can watch a 30-minute stream of all the great things going on at New Life Mission and get involved. And that's going to be April 16th and 17th. There will be small group parties and small group gatherings going on around Brevard County and maybe even around the country, but you can log on. I'll put links in there. You guys can totally participate from wherever you are and be a part of this awesome work that the Lord is doing. All right. Well, girl, how can people find you and the shop, social media, websites? Or do you want them to connect with you personally so they can see pictures of your handsome son?
All of the above. All of the above.
Right.
So on social media, it's Transform Shop.
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram. And then if they go to transformshop.com, you can find everything you ever wanted to know, as well as links to New Life Mission to learn more about the program.
Perfect. All right. Amy, thank you so much for doing this with us today.
Jenny, you're the best. Thank you.
I love you. See you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, I hope that you guys enjoyed that interview. And again, if you have not checked out the first 2 episodes in this 5-part series featuring the work of New Life Mission, please head back, give those a listen. Listen to the CEO, Stacia Glaves, how it all started. And then in episode 2, we talked to the Director of Development, Miss Anne-Marie Britt. And not only is her work with New Life Mission powerful, but her story of adopting her own 2 daughters out of homelessness is an unbelievable, eye-opening story of homelessness through the eyes of the children, but also such a powerful, powerful example of God's redeeming love through fostering and adopting, and now what New Life Mission is doing to help break the cycle of homelessness for moms with children here in Brevard County, Florida. So I know you will love those episodes. Please head to these show notes, check out all the links to everything we mentioned, see how you can get involved if that is on your heart. Help us share this so that the mission gets furthered. And please come back next week. Next Wednesday is a very, very special episode. I have chills even just thinking about it. I had the incredible privilege of interviewing Jessica. And Jessica, when we did this interview, was a current student at New Life Mission, and her story of God reaching out to her in her darkest time of addiction and incarceration and unexpected pregnancy, and drawing her to the place she is now, transforming her life and breaking the cycle of homelessness and addiction. It is incredible. It is touching, and you are going to love what you hear there. So I'm looking forward to bringing you that interview next week. So stay tuned, and we will talk to you soon. Hey friend, if you enjoyed this episode and you got some good stuff out of it, there's a few options you have. One, you could click that little subscribe button, because let's be honest, who's got time to remember to check back and see if there's a new episode, right? So click that subscribe button, and then when a new episode comes up, it will just, by the magic of the internet, pop up in your Dropbox, and it'll be right there for you whenever you're ready. And also, if you would review this podcast, oh my gosh, if you like what you heard, get on there, give it a 5-star review. If you didn't like what you heard, just pretend it never happened, okay? But if you would do a review for me, just take a couple seconds and do that. Not only would I be crazy excited, but also it would just be a great way for us to partner together, for you to help this podcast be seen by more women out there, and you could be a part of helping more women discover these practical ways to apply God's word to just everyday stuff. So I would love it, love it, love it if you could help me out in one of those 2 ways.